Always a highlight of the MSA British Rallycross Championship is the Retro Rallycross category. A chance to look back on how the sport used to be. Different shapes, different sizes, different configurations. The entry made up predominantly of two-wheel drive cars. And there's some excellent machinery on display here at Lydden. No semi-finals, just 3 qualifying heats, and Barry Stewart's Porsche 911 tops the points ahead of Kevin Feeney and Gary Mason, Mark II and Mark I Escort respectively. Benelux visitor Jos Sturkens has his Mark I Escort, and Ray Morgan's a long way back with his BDA Mark III. The final is a 4-lap race. It is about to get underway with the grid looking like this. Barry Stewart, Kevin Feeney and Gary Mason on row 1, Vincent Sillett and Stephen Richards both in Escorts on row 2. The third row, Lance Foster's Mini ahead of Paul Easterbrook and Simon Hart. Paul Smith's Polo and Jos Sturkens Escort on the penultimate row, and Ray Morgan right at the very back. It is a very full grid indeed. Simon Hart in the Haydens of Maidstone Ford Escort, harking back to the days of John Taylor and Rod Chapman. He's on the outside of row 3. The ready to race sign comes on. Engine notes rise when the lights blink green. We will be underway now. And a great start by Barry Stewart in the Porsche. All of that grunt carries him away nicely. Gary Mason's Escort, though, bogs down and he loses chunks of time as the cars hit the loose for the first time at Chesson's Drift. Go back to the early 80s. Mark II Escorts in Division 1, the Minis in Division 2 used to dominate the sport. You've got plenty of Escorts and Lance Foster's Mini in this entry today. There is Lance Foster going through. He works for Green and White Mini Spares. He's only ever raced Minis. Paul Easterbrook's Toyota MR2 heads uphill as well, adding to the variety in retro rallycross these days. He's got Gary Mason's Mark I Escort diving up the inside, trying to open the door and find a way through. Some of the Escorts also these days seeing service in single venue stage rallies, as downhill comes a charging Ray Morgan. They're looking for a way to get past Vincent Sillett, Mark II Escort. Ray Morgan up from the back of the grid, but it's Barry Stewart dominating up front, and he's trying to build the advantage as they hit the loose once again. This is lap 2 of 4. Ray Morgan, great enthusiast for Rallycross. The double winner of the John Button Memorial Trophy, given 2 champions within retro Rallycross. And you couldn't ask for a better ambassador for the category. Lance Foster, though, there heads uphill, keeping at bay Vincent Sillett's Ford Escort, but Ray Morgan is closing the gap all the time. Mini versus Escort as they head up the hill. Sillett to the outside line. Is he going to be able to find a way by? Not there. And Ray Morgan now tries to get up the inside, but he launches himself up the curb and now accelerates downhill. This is for the race lead, though. Kevin Feeney in the green Escort attacking Barry Stewart. Shades of Rob Gibson versus John Welch, mid-80s, Porsche versus Mark II Escort, and it's the Porsche, the ex-Rolf Nielsen car, that stays ahead for the moment. Barry Stewart threads his way across the loose. Kevin Feeney, we've seen doing great things in the past in the RX 150s. He is the man doing the chasing. The Irishman runs second. Barry Stewart, though, leading the way. And of course, when you get to the final, you don't have to worry anymore about qualifying times, about race times or points. It's just a straightforward race. There is Simon Hart, the immaculate Haydens of Maidstone Ford Escort tribute comes across the loose. As up front, Lance Foster is now keeping Ray Morgan at bay, Morgan having got up past Sillett. The race leaders work their way across the loose once more. Barry Stewart leading the way. On to the last lap, Kevin Feeney tightens the line. There's no joker lap in the retro rallycross category. It's just the conventional run around Lydden. There was no joker lap in the days of these cars, so why bring it in now? There's Lance Foster's Mini, keeping Ray Morgan at bay. And as they head across the loose section of circuit, in glorious sunshine, the track has stood up to today very well. It's a bit dusty, but not overly so. There is Kevin Feeney out of the hairpin and sideways, but it looks as though Barry Stewart is going to be on target for a second victory of the season. The first victory coming here at the start of the season in round 2. He powers his way out of the hairpin, sets off downhill. Kevin Feeney chasing, but he's going to run out of time. Down towards paddock, turn into the right, and then there's the left-right flick through the chicane and up towards the checkered flag. There it is, and Barry Stewart comes through to take a second win of the season. A curb climbing, Kevin Feeney is second, and who's going to be third? It's just Lance Foster coming through. Ray Morgan takes 4th, and the Escorts behind. Vincent Sillett taking 5th position. Through they still come. Paul Easterbrook's Toyota MR2, the former autocrosser, coming through. But Barry Stewart has triumphed. A great drive by a real master of this car, but traces its origins back to the very early 1980s when Rolf Nielsen won the British Rallycross Grand Prix. So Barry Stewart the winner by just over a second from Kevin Feeney, Lance Foster third, and then Ray Morgan fourth from Vincent Stillett and Gary Mason. In the championship, it is Ray Morgan that leads, Paul Easterbrook second and Barry Stewart third, but Kevin Feeney is now up to fourth at the expense of Roger Thomas. The second class headed by Lance Foster from Paul Smith.